Women are very special. I think it's a very special time because a lot of things are coming out, and I think that's good for our society, and I think it's very, very good for women. And I'm very happy a lot of these things are coming out, and I'm very happy it's being exposed.
Yeah, that's it, with the gold. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
Are you saying that what you said on that bus 11 years ago, that you did not actually kiss women without consent or grope women without consent?
I have great respect for women. Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
So for the record, you're saying you never did that?
I said things that, frankly, you hear these things are said. And I was embarrassed by it, but I have tremendous respect for women.
Have you ever done those
women
things?
Have respect for me. And I will tell you, no, I have not. And I will tell you that I'm going to make our country safe.
He just started grabbing me and trying to kiss me, and then I realized that he was putting his hand up my skirt.
And I'm talking to my friend who I'm sitting to and across from on my left side. I'm very clear on this. This is the vivid part for me. So the person on my right, who unbeknownst to me at that time was Donald Trump, put their hand up my skirt. He did touch my vagina through my underwear. Absolutely.
Donald sat me right next to him. He placed me right next to him. And that was the time when he started to go for it and had his hand on my leg, moving forward, and went for it, touching my private parts. Pushing me up against the wall, forcing me to kiss, forcing a kiss on me, and again with his hands all over my body and up again my dress with the hands.
And it was at that time where he turned to me and embraced me and gave me a kiss on the lips. I remember him coming out, and the first thing he did was just smile and give me a warm embrace with another kiss. And I remember immediately thinking, what does he think this is?
Somebody that you've never seen that said, oh, in 1992, he went like this. One came out recently where I was sitting alone in some club. I really don't sit alone that much. Honestly, folks, I don't think I sit alone. I go into a group, I was sitting alone by myself, like this. And then I went, what?
When I saw him at the debate, and Anderson Cooper asked him, have you ever kissed a woman without consent? And he said, no. I just think all those feelings rushed back to me. I felt that it was my responsibility to write something at that point.
Why didn't she write what she said happened before she wrote the story? Why didn't she put it in the story? The story would have been one of the big stories. I was the big star of The Apprentice. Why didn't she do it 12 years ago? 12 years ago. She's writing the story. Now think of this. Think of this. She's right. She's a liar. She is a liar.
He then grabbed my shoulder and began kissing me again very aggressively and placed his hand on my breast. I pulled back and walked to another part of the room. He then walked up, grabbed my hand, and walked me into the bedroom. I walked out. He then turned me around and said, let's lay down and watch some telly. He put me in an embrace, and I tried to push him away. I pushed his chest to put space between us, and I said, come on, man, get real. He repeated my words back to me, get real, as he began thrusting his genitals.
Every woman lied when they came forward to hurt my campaign. Total fabrication. The events never happened, never.
I came to this interview on my free will. No, there was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent.
Yes, everything that I say at this interview will be the truth. I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump. I was 13. The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then he, I began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, "You need to use a glove." And the recruiter ran over and handed me a glove and said, "No one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove." So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party. Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties. I originally came to New York trying to be a model, and in my travels, I met a girl named Tiffany there who was very interested in me and said that, that's what she did, is that she helped girls, get what they wanted, and she could help me get into modeling. That she knew a lot of people that were higher ups, and that it would be no problem. And so that's why, but I would just basically have to come model at a couple of events and meet some people. There would be no sweat. So of course I went. That sounded like no big deal. And she was recruiting the girls to come to these parties. And they all looked, most of them were, my age. There was, maybe a couple girls that were maybe 14 or 15, but it seemed to me like we were all very young, so. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. When he interviewed me, he asked me to get down to my bra, just my panties, and I thought that was weird, but modeling, maybe it was something about my figure. And he asked that I give him a massage. So then he asked me my age. He asked me, and I told him, told him that I was 13. I told him why I was there. And he basically said, "Well, you'll do. I'm sure that you'll fit pretty nicely here." And then he tried to basically slip himself inside of me, and I pushed him away, and I said, because at that point in time, I still believed that there was models, and then there was the girls that did that. Like, I thought there was a separation. So, I told him that I wasn't interested in that, but he said that I would do. And as far as Donald Trump, he knew that I was 13, and I believe that Tiffany told him he seemed to take a liking to me because I was I was so young, and I was also a virgin. So I don't know. It seemed like he wasn't really into having girls that were liked by the other guys. He kind of, the whole glove thing. He kind of liked things to be his first. If that, for lack of a better term, but he was the one who wanted to get to a girl before everyone else did. Donald Trump knew that I was 13 because the first night that I was there, Tiffany actually suggested that she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair, and so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that she said that looked great on me. So I wore that wig, and Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter, and she said, well, she's 13 as well. So he knew the first time that he saw me, but he took a liking to me because I look like his daughter. I did receive money to go to these parties. After every party, I was paid by Mr. Epstein. There wasn't, out of all the girls that were there with me, most of them were 13, 14. I think the oldest one might have been 16, but just turned 16. And she'd been there for a while. He liked to watch other people have sex. I mean, he's a germ, doesn't like germs, so rather than partaking, he just watches. So Tiffany had informed him that I was the virgin, and so I was basically, so it was Tiffany who introduced us.
Okay.
Second time that I saw Mr. Trump was same scenario. He was onlooking at an orgy, and Tiffany came over to me and said that Donald Trump had requested that I perform oral sex on him, and I'd never done something like that with anybody, so I was a little nervous. So I walked up to him, and he was sitting there very proud, and I just kind of moved in that direction, and he kind of slapped me away and said, "What are you doing? You know, you need to put a condom on," like I was some dirty filth or something without a condom. Tiffany ran over and handed him a condom and apologized, profusely, and said that would never happen again. And she looked at me and scolded me basically like a child and said that, that's not how, Donald Trump always, anytime you touch his penis, it needs to have a condom on or a glove, and especially when it comes to performing oral sex. So I apologized, and then I performed oral sex on him. And once he was done, he hopped up, and that's the last I saw of him at that party. It's like once he's done, he's out. So.
Okay.
Sometimes before some of the things that I noticed that were weird with him was sometimes before the parties he would come over, and Jeffrey Epstein and himself would kind of banter back and forth, and he was Donald Trump was very racist. He said a lot of racist things. Like there was a lot of comments towards Mr. Epstein about being Jewish, and called him a Jew bastard, so that he was cheap, and there was some words I didn't even understand. Something about the shape of his penis being directly related to his mole, or I'm not too familiar with the the Jewish tradition, so, but I'm pretty sure that whatever he was saying wasn't very nice. Also referred to, people of Hispanic or, Hispanic name, they called them spics. That was around the first time that the World Trade Center had gotten bombed in the 90s. And he was, talking about the towel heads and how, we would just be better off if we, didn't let him in, or, basically got rid of every single one that was already here. And I felt, it made me really uncomfortable, really, really uncomfortable. He also loved to call black people niggers, and Arabic people he called sand niggers. The only time that he tried to give me some money was our last encounter together, where he acted out a rape fantasy. I was forced to give that money back because Jeffrey Epstein paid us after the party. So, but he just gave me the money. I don't even know why he gave it to me. Maybe to make me feel more cheap, but it was a pretty. It was a rape fantasy to him, but I wasn't playing. So. there was those 2 times, and then there was after the next thing that Tiffany approached me with was that he had a fantasy where he walked in on his maids basically making out, and that it was some type of fantasy for him. So she asked, I mean, I was at that point, I was like, I don't want to be involved with anything that has to do with him. But she's like, you were just basically the other one. So there's nothing that you will have to do. Just don't, he's requesting you to be involved. So I reluctantly, I felt like I didn't have a choice there, but it was basically he's walking in, his 2 maids, I was one of the maids, I was the white maid, and there was a Spanish girl, Maria, who was the Hispanic maid. And we were making out, and he walks in and he gets really angry and threatens to call immigration on Maria if she doesn't come over and make things right and give him a blowjob. So while she is over there giving him a blowjob, I am just trying to, I'm supposed to look scared, like, oh no, and cleaning up things and pretending like I'm trying to go back to my job as a maid. And then he's being so rude to Maria. I felt so bad for her, even though I guess just didn't seem like a fantasy. It didn't seem like it's the weirdest fantasy as far as that. He was threatening to call immigration on her, so that she didn't know how to. She wasn't even near going down to give him. Perform oral sex on him before he slapped her away and said, what are you doing? You need to put a condom on, and she's trying to, I'm so sorry, and he's like, you can't even understand what you're saying, speak English, he called her derogatory comments, and then he's like, you know what, you don't know what you're doing, have her come over and show you how it's done. And so I said that I didn't, I had to go over there or else he was going to call immigration on Maria. I didn't know if it was true or not, but I felt that, he said that if I didn't show her how to perform oral sex on him, then he was going to call immigration on her and then get rid of us both. It was anything that was in relation to him getting off or being satisfied or happy had to do with him being in power, but extreme power. And it's very hard to even. It was always intimidating when he was like that. It was always, you didn't really know if it was true or if you refused to play along, would he really call immigration on Maria? Would he really get rid of us both? And I didn't even want to know what that meant. I always didn't, it wasn't a game. It just felt like it wasn't a game. Yeah. The one night that I had the blonde wig on, he mentioned that I looked like, that I reminded him of his daughter. And actually the maid fantasy, I didn't have a blonde wig on. I was trying to stay away from blonde wigs at the time. But he actually told Tiffany that that's what he wanted me to wear. Like, he wanted it, and anytime I put it on, anytime I had it on and he'd see me, he would say, oh man, you look, and it wasn't like oh, you remind me of my daughter. It was this sick, evil, like, you remind me of my daughter. It was just this weird pleasure, sick smile. Like, I don't even want to know what he was thinking about. I could imagine what he was thinking about. After the parties would end, we were to report to Mr. Epstein and basically tell him everything that happened, with who, what they liked, what they disliked, if there was any requests, if there was any talk about anything. That's what, we told Mr. Epstein everything. And then he paid us, and then we got to go home. And with me, I would either, I normally got taken to the airport, so to go back home.
to say no to President Trump would be saying no to God. And I won't do that.
Thank you, Paula. What a great job you do. The evangelicals. I hear we're more popular than ever with the evangelicals. You're the only one, and she'll tell the truth. She'll only tell the truth.
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
Why do I have to, repent? Why do I have to ask for forgiveness?
And everybody said, amen.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
So for the record, you're saying you never did that?
I said things that, frankly, you hear these things are said, and I was embarrassed by it, but I have tremendous respect for women.
Have you ever done those
women
things?
have respect for me, and I will tell you, no, I have not. I am the chosen one. I am the chosen one.